Hello, this is Gary Marr, and this screen captures from my CIS-150AB class. This is the assignment from Chapter 5, number 13, one of the more challenging ones so far, and the one that I discussed in class on Thursday. What I've done here is I put this in Python for no better reason than to just kind of organize it better, make sure it worked. I did find an error in the author's solution, so I fixed that, and I made one modification in the requirements. Up top here, we've got the actual instructions. And what I've done is I've made it into Python, but I've left ample comments in here, at least to indicate how it might look like if it was placed in a format for pseudocode. I did make one additional change. The implication was that the person starts off with a balance of 0, but this doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, largely because most people come to retirement with some savings, and if it starts off with a balance of 0, you really don't get very far with your savings if you've got expenses of $50,000 per year. But up top here, I've got some declarations. One of the things that happens with this particular assignment is it breaks down into local and global variables, a topic we really haven't spent a lot of time on quite yet. I believe it's in the next chapter. But what it basically means is some variables are available to all of the modules in the program, whereas some variables are local to the module they're defined in. So up here are some global variables, and they're referenced as global variables inside the module with the keyword global in front of it. This is a Pythonism, something we use with Python. If the variable does not have global in the front of it, for example, these constants don't have a global in front of it. These constants are only local constants available to the function called detail loop. There's a housekeeping, a detail loop, and also a finish up, which is fairly consistent with the way Farrell has positioned most of her solutions. Because Python expects forward definition of all modules, down here is really the start of the program, where I call out the module called housekeeping, detail loop, and finish up. So if I'm following that order, the first thing executed is up here. All this is doing is grabbing the number of working years and then returning back to the next statement, which calls detail loop. Detail loop is going to have some constants that were defined as part of the program. It's going to use some global variables like year and amount can save, which are used potentially by multiple modules. I'm not sure if exactly that's going to happen here, but just in case. It's going to ask you for the amount you're going to save annually. If you start off with a 0 balance, you're going to have to save a lot each year to cover that $50,000 of expenses. So I'm assuming here the person's got $100,000 in savings to start, or $100,000 in assets. Okay, you've got two loops. The first loop is going to basically handle the balance as it pertains to drawing down the balance and also increasing the amount you can save each year. Here we got if the year is less than working years, in other words, we're still underneath that threshold you set in an earlier prompt. It's going to take the balance, add your savings, and then apply the interest rate to it. It'll do this for the number of working years, looping. Next thing it's going to do is set year to 0 so it can start over again. And what it's going to do in this loop is basically provide a test on maximum years of left before retirement, which is 40. And then also a balance has to be greater than 0 because the requirements of the program say you've got up to 40 years. And if your balance is 0, you have to stop. This will print out the list it's talking about. One of the values will be the year. One will be the balance carried forward. It'll then deduct the spending. It'll then recalculate everything for a new balance and continue until it meets the criteria above here, as long as this is true, these two Boolean expressions. Once this module is done, it goes to finish up, where it ends the program. Hopefully this helps you out, and if you have any questions, please let me know.